Although the Nether is naturally the primary medium of travel on PurityVanilla, lesser-traveled overworld highways have existed on the server for almost 2 years. These highways are commonly used by new players as an outlet from spawn, and are useful for navigating under the giant ruins of lava casts ever present there. Walking along the highway is an interesting experience, enticing players both poor and rich, new and old, as they pass by the ruins of old inns, signs, outposts, and farms that once sustained other players. In today's video, we'll explore the tumultuous story of PurityVanilla's overworld highways. We begin with the Southern Highway, which was the first highway in the overworld. A player called Melo began work on it in August of 2019, going 2,000 blocks from spawn by August 21st. Taking note of this road, Splash, another player, began adding to it himself. Splash managed to take the highway another 2,000 blocks in September, meaning the highway now extended 4,000 blocks from spawn. During Splash's expansion, he also constructed small outposts. His first, called Alpha, was built 2.6 thousand blocks out over the location of a free food station founded by Peter 2015, and the Beta outpost was later built 3.6 thousand blocks out. Splash also renovated the look of the highways, changing it from cobblestone to grass blocks sandwiched between stone bricks, and this design would carry on down the line. When Melofurs, the original highway builder, noticed the work that had been done and signs around the highway dubbing it Splash Highway, he left a sign at the Beta outpost asking Splash to contact him on Discord. The two players came together to form the Overworld Highway Corporation, or OHC, on October 1st. The small group quickly expanded due to an alliance with the Varden, an old and prestigious faction at the time, bringing players such as Mrska 999 onto the project and supplying pickaxes to the builders. The OHC expanded the highways to 10,000 blocks, building outpost Gamma at 7.5k, and Melofurs began a ring road 100 blocks around spawn. However, nothing lasts forever in Anarchy. Cauda an infamous griefer, destroyed the Alpha, Beta, and Gamma outposts. With all outposts destroyed, the OHC vowed to never build an outpost again. Additionally, Splash started to become bored and sided with Valhalla, the Varden's greatest rival faction, and Melofurs had to leave the server in December of 2019 due to computer problems. It seemed as though the group was falling apart at the seams. Life, however, always seems to find a way. Mrska, a Varden member assisting the OHC, stepped in to fill the void of leadership left by Melofurs and Splash's departures. Mrska single-handedly created the first 1,000 blocks of the Eastern Highway, and was joined by others in extending the highway to 5k. After this point, a player named Ari loosely expanded the highway to 7k by digging out 3x3 tunnels through mountains and cliffs, and using slabs to follow the terrain. Notably, such terrain following is no longer the standard on Purity, and nowadays highways stay solidly on y=64. Here, things began to change away from the typical highway format, as player Misha TG decided to begin work on a canal extending from where Ari left off. In the spring of 2020, Misha began work near a small town built by unknown players at x=7000. As he went, Misha would build small rest stops every 1,000 blocks where weary boaters could stop, restock, and rest. Misha would take his canal all the way to x equals 11,111 before stopping. As time went on, this canal would start to crumble as various players griefed it, and it would be another year before the canal would be worked on once more. Help came through the players Jalapeno 690 and HEXE82, who found the canals torn apart by player activity. On the 18th of April 2021, the pair would expand the canal to 14,000 blocks out, and HEXE would set up a farm to help players escape even further from the dangerous ruins of Spawn. As with all things Anarchy, growth and destruction chase each other in circles. Only 4 months later, an operation dubbed Project Allah began. Started by Grandma Pepe, Acne Christ, and various other PvPers in August of 2020, this project aimed to give griefers and PvPers something to do, as they had become bored recently. This was accomplished by griefing Spawn at large, both in the Overworld and the Nether. Over the span of about a week, Project Allah decimated the Nether Hub, turning it into the vast openness that it is today. Additionally, the project targeted the Overworld highways. Massive amounts of TNT, end crystals, and withers were used. Deoxon, who participated in Project Allah, estimates that 20 shulkers of TNT were used in the Overworld alone. Enter the Grey, one of the best known factions on Purity. Come to think of it, a video on the Grey's history would be fascinating. Yeah. Anyway, the Grey wanted to start making the Overworld highways a more feasible method of transportation. Up to this point, the highways were fairly scrambled, being done by many different individuals in their own style and method. The Grey sought to organize highway construction, and in September of 2020 they rebuilt the Southern Highway, making it all on the same Y level using stone bricks and smooth stone. 2 months later, they would do the same along the Western Highway with the help of Mad Skipper. As the Grey began working more on these highways, they formed a subgroup called the Spawn Infrastructure Project, or SIP, on November 8th. I asked Jamool, a council member of the Grey, why they made an entirely new group rather than working on this project as the Grey, and he told me a fascinating story of griefs and betrayal worthy of its own video. For now, it's sufficient to say that the Grey was in a period of distrust, but had a strong desire to work on Spawn projects. Creating SIP allowed them to keep the Grey bases safe while continuing work at Spawn. They may not have known it at the time, but SIP would go on to change the very nature of highways, and become an integral part of the server's history. As 2020 drew to a close and 2021 began, SIP continued work on highway-related projects. Players outside of SIP would sometimes try to build similar structures, such as a highway going southwest, or a ring road at 20k, but these roads were not maintained nor finished. SIP and SIP only had the dedication and collaborative planning necessary to build and maintain such large-scale projects. In March of 2021, players from SIP, namely Kluk, Theric, and Pafa Cubes, would build a network of 2 block-wide obsidian squares in a 500 by 500 area around Spawn. Each square was 100 by 100 blocks. This project would come to be known as the Spawn Grid. Despite attempts to grief it, the grid was constantly repaired with the help of the sole player that made obsidian highways possible in the first place, Dicka Dicka. Let's jump backwards a few months to December of 2020. Dicka Dicka, a member of the Grey and SIP, suggested the idea of creating an AFK obsidian farm that would allow highways to be made entirely out of obsidian instead of the stone blocks which have been used thus far. Obsidian is commonly used for highways due to its high blast resistance and the fact that it is extremely difficult to grief, especially for new players without diamond or netherite pickaxes. At this point, the Nether highways, which were and are used much more frequently due to movement in the Nether being 8 times faster than in the Overworld, were being converted to obsidian, but the process was extremely slow due to how expensive it was to buy obsidian from other players. Before building an obsidian farm, Dicka sold 48 elytras and 6 stacks of shulker shells in order to purchase obby for the highways. However, in early January of 2021, the need to buy obsidian would become a thing of the past. The farm Dicka built is widely known as the best obsidian farm on the server, generating 1.5 shulkers of obsidian per hour. An estimated 2.5 thousand shulkers of obsidian, or approximately 4.3 million blocks, have been produced since the farm was built. Using obsidian generated by the farm, SIP was able to start hitting the highways like never before. Within the next few months, all highways were made into 3 wide obsidian roads stretching 10,000 blocks, save the eastern one due to the canal. The western highway was completed by Maximus D. Meridius and Thesto. The southern highway was completed by Maximus, and the eastern road was built to 7K by Maximus, where it met the canal. The northern highway was built by Raghav MC and Pafacubes at build limit due to there being a canal starting at 1,000 blocks from spawn. Finally, SIP's goal of making 10K long, 3 wide obsidian roads in each direction was accomplished. Today, SIP consistently maintains and polishes the highways up to 10K. Although they are very often griefed or obstructed, SIP has perfected a team environment where many active players are regularly patching up the roads. Nothing past 10K is up to this standard of quality, because it is not officially part of SIP's roads, but there certainly are highways past 10K. For example, the players Filipen, Jack OBS, and Burger Balls built the Southern Highway from 60K to 350K using stone bricks. Additionally, Jalapeno 690 is working on building the Eastern Canal, which currently reaches 20,000 blocks. Although some members of SIP would eventually leave Minecraft or be forcibly removed from SIP due to leaking, SIP and the highways still stand strong. The official SIP highways are used constantly in both the Nether and the Overworld, by both new and old players. Due to the efforts of this group, countless players have been able to escape spawn with relative ease and begin adventures of their own. Will SIP's obsidian highways eventually be expanded? Just how far do the highways go? Well, there's only one way to find out.